Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes, and welcome back to the YoVideogames podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Andrew.
And once again, thank you to all our generous patrons who kept us going for over 500 episodes.
Yeah, if you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week is Denjiki.
Thank you, Denjiki.
Brand new dude.
Brand
new.
So thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
It's a weird year.
I know, Denjiki's been around as a dude, like in the greater YoVideogames community for a while. So welcome on in.
Yeah, it feels like we're in year 5 of 2026 and we're only 20 days in.
You're fine.
It's been a crazy year. Speaking of crazy year, I was trying to think of, we got the hype train. Well, not really a hype train. Microsoft doesn't have hype trains anymore, but
yeah, they want to or want to pretend they do, but
well, I am hyped for Fable.
Yeah, and a lot of people actually get surprised. Like, you played Fable? I'm like, dude, I played the shit out of Fable.
Yeah,
2.
Fable's great.
And I played all of 3. Like, I did. I enjoyed 2 and 3 a lot, actually.
But is it a hype train? Is it something we're going to be?
They haven't shown enough because they've done the very like what we do in the shadow style trailers for the new game. But I'm like, okay, we'll show the game. Like, it's time to show the game. Like, we need to see show raw gameplay. That's kind of what it needs at this point. And I think if anything, there's our sort of thesis for this episode is just sort of like, where is the hype for some of these honestly really big games coming out? Like, it feels like to me, right? Doesn't it feel like Fable and like a big Forza Horizon, which is going to sell a ton? Shouldn't there be more excitement for those? And the other big one, that's sort of an elephant in the room, it feels like there should be more excitement for Resident Evil 9 than there is. Everyone's just kind of like, yeah, it's coming. Okay. Sure, whatever.
I don't know if it's just like because it's a given that people are saying like, okay, these games are going to be big, so there's no reason to get super hyped about it. I don't know if that tracks. I don't know if that like
franchise fatigue or something, or I don't know. To me, it just seems kind of interesting where it's not like nobody's saying they're not going to buy these games, right? Like, no one's saying like, I'm not going to buy RE9, but there is definitely sort of like, yeah, it's coming. Sure, I'll get it.
Yeah, nothing's really. Well, I'm trying. Okay, so what we know is coming this year is anything like breaking your brain. Like, you're like, I cannot wait for this. This is gonna be amazing.
Yeah, like the big one is Phantom Blade Zero, and it's kind of nice to see people have kind of come around on that game as more and more stuff came out, because like there was this initial trailer and everyone thought it was complete bull. Like, oh, that's not a real game. That's all just smoke and mirrors, yada yada. And then like about a year or so later, we played and we're like, oh shit, this is real. And we've had hands on, and then we got a exclusive hands on really recently. With the director and developers of the game, and it's like, yeah, that game hands on with it has just always reaffirms that, wow, this is a really good game. It doesn't just look really good, like the feel of the game is really good, and that's really important. So I'm glad to see there's a lot of I guess hype kind of like surrounding the game, where it's like, no, it's actually really exciting. It is a really exciting game, and it's not in sometimes you wonder where you like something and you're really excited about something, but like it never really seems to hit, where you wonder if maybe even if you try to like, report to people or tell people like, hey, we saw this thing, this was really cool, you should go try it, trust us. And it almost sometimes feels like that doesn't mean anything sometimes.
I think one interesting thing about Phantom Blade Zero is that it's this is the one that everyone thought was going to be a Souls clone, but it's more and more that you see it's not.
It's not a Souls clone. It's not. Because the director, Soulframe Liang, he doesn't like Souls combat.
Right.
And neither do I, so we get along well.
I just played through 2 games back to back that are Souls-like. And so I'm in the thick of remembering all the reasons why I don't really love Souls combat. I Okay, I don't want to say like outright like, oh, I hate Souls combat. I don't hate Souls combat. I think frustration is part of the allure for some people, and I just getting angry or getting frustrated with a game while trying to get good isn't necessarily a draw to me. Um, I understand the argument. People say like, "Oh, you feel accomplished when you win a fight that's really, really hard." Um, I get that. I'm just saying it's not necessarily for me. Um, even when really well done. But I think one thing that I do love about Souls games, the vibes are great. The like little hidden lore and exploring is great. I know that this is obviously going to have the looks of a Souls
but that
game.
is the one thing that he did take away from it was sort of the narrative and level design. He really wanted to like he really liked. And again, the director, he's an architect. He went to school for architecture.
Hell yeah.
There's a fun little like did you know? But he's really he really likes the way Dark Souls 1 especially is like this really cool interconnected Metroidvania style world, but general moment to moment combat is just for him in that game and for me. So
respawning enemies and
which Phantom Blade doesn't have. I was actually shocked when I found that out, and he's like, "Nah, why? Just waste your time." I was like, "Oh wow, okay."
And the thing is I do. Okay, so both sides of that argument.
He's very conscious about player time. Like it feels like the developers of Phantom Blade Zero S game are very aware of your time. So they're like, when we put a checkpoint, when you fight a boss, we're gonna put a campfire, bonfire, or I forget whatever equivalent thing there is in that game. We're putting a checkpoint next to the boss. We're not gonna do these like minute long run back to the bosses. They're like, why? Just waste your time. If you clear out a whole area of enemies, to get whatever item they're guarding or holding or whatever, they're not going to just come back just because, every single moment, you go in and out of that area. They're like, why? Because it wastes your time. Like we don't need you to be constantly doing the same thing over and over. Like there's a very, like, there's an efficiency in the design, to Phantom Blade right now. So
there's Souls fans listening right now who are losing hype for this game because they want it to be a Souls clone.
Well, it's a character action game. It's so much closer to Ninja Gaiden and like Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. That's what the game really is. Like from the combat perspective, it's like a game with a Dark Souls level design, but it is a Metal Gear Rising, Ninja Gaiden style combat.
That doesn't come out until like September, right?
Yeah, September.
So you got 9 months of waiting for your hypest.
Yeah, for now. But the thing is, there's so many other games in between. Because again, there's like 3 major Capcom games coming out in 3 months. There's RE9, and then Pragmata's in April, and then strangely, Monster Hunter Stories 3 is looking really good in a way I was not expecting. So that's already kind of surprising me.
When does that come out?
March.
Wow, they're front loading this.
Yes. And then there's Onimusha somewhere. And
yeah, is that this year? That's definitely this year. Yeah,
it's definitely this year. And then Invincible Versus comes out at the end of April. So
there's hype game. Like Onimusha is probably the game that I'm most excited for this year. I mean, Resident Evil 9, obviously I'm gonna play it. Love Resident Evil, but for whatever reason, and I don't have a solid reason for this, I am not like over the moon excited. Everything I've seen looks good. I have nothing against it. Just for whatever reason, maybe it's fatigue. There's been a Resident Evil almost every year for the last
for a while, for the last 8 years. So
okay, it's gonna be good. I'm excited for it. I'm just not like amped. Onimusha, I'm fairly amped for, which is it's Resident Evil but with samurai, and who doesn't love that shit? But I think I'm mostly amped for that for a nostalgia reason.
Yeah, and then there's like other first party stuff we were talking about too, and Wolverine's at the end of the year. Saros is like April or something.
Oh, I forgot about Saros. Saros, I am amped for. That
Yeah,
looks
yes,
so good.
yeah. There's stuff happening this year. It's just I don't know what it is with. I don't know if it's like outside factors like anxiety,
That's what it
of
is.
the
It's fatigue
industry.
from all the news.
Right? Like just like all the sort of constant like downpour of rain of like RAM prices and
Layoffs
inflation and
and yeah.
layoffs. It's like, oh man, the industry sucks. So it's like you forget about all the good things happening. Like
Yeah, the industry's in the dumps.
the most anticipated game of the year, High Guard, coming out in a week. High Guard.
High Guard. Very exciting.
Yeah.
Very, very,
It's
very
very
exciting.
weird that they actually never said anything ever since the reveal. Like they literally just, yep, there was a reveal, and not one social media post, just went quiet.
I think one of the weirdest things is like, did we even talk about the High Guard trailer when it first got talked about?
Maybe, but it's like, man, that's almost like a can of worms because
Because that's the
people are,
Titanfall devs, right?
some of them, yeah, and people are kind of already like super down on the game, and I'm not super down on the game. It's just sort of, it's just such an unfortunate timing. When it was revealed, how it was revealed, and then like, oh, it's a raid shooter or an arena shooter. I forget which, but like it's a not maybe not just maybe not the best time, for people to be talking about it. So, oh, there's another big Sony game we're forgetting in March.
Marathon. Man, I was excited for that. It feels like 2 years ago. I was actually like, ooh, okay.
Yeah, 2 years ago might have been a good idea. So
Yeah, well, the timing couldn't be worse. High Guard it's interesting for the same reasons the Marathon missed the window maybe entirely. High Guard seems like maybe it missed the window because High Guard's a raid shooter, Marathon's an extraction shooter. Right?
yeah,
Marathon's an extraction shooter. Extraction shooters, okay, this is a weird question. What is the real difference between a raid shooter and an extraction shooter? Because a raid shooter, you're doing instances.
yeah, because I think
What makes a raid shooter?
the big thing is the quote unquote, I think, extraction point. The PV, because I think in a raid shooter it's mostly PVE. If I'm not
they're
mistaken.
PvP. Raid shooters are PvP.
Are they? Okay. Well, in my mind, when I think about raid modes and raid things, I'm thinking like, well, like an extraction shooter is about like you kind of go in and come back, or you go in and go to a certain point, and there's this whole like, oh, sort of anxiety or tension of getting out with your stuff, because if you die, you lose all of it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So an extraction shooter is a type of raid shooter. They are.
I think it feels like a more extreme, like more difficult variation of it.
Yeah, I guess raid shooters will have like it's about looting and extracting and stuff against PvE and PvP, whereas an extraction shooter is, very explicitly like PvP, and then raid shooters have like MMO style raids.
Yeah,
Like they'll do a big mission. That's interesting. Yeah, I think High Guard maybe missed. I don't know. I think maybe extraction shooters cooled faster than anyone. I still like extraction shooters, but Marathon killed its own hype with the problems that it had.
yeah, and then of
High
course
Guard might still have it.
I mean, there's also in Raw Extractions, we forget there's Dusk Bloods, which is their Souls variation of extraction shooter, but it's not a shooter, it's an extraction style game. But it's all Souls based style. So
but people are hyped for that. There is real hype for that.
There is, but there's also not been a ton of info since it was revealed, nearly a year ago. And it is exclusive to Switch 2. So the most discussion I see now is mostly people whinging about it being exclusive. And it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of exclusives or whatever, but
Let's get into the real topic. What is the difference between whinging and whining?
Whining
Tone of
is like,
voice?
yeah, tone of voice. Whining is like high pitched, where like whinging is like you're trying really hard not to seem like you're whining, like that you're not complaining. You're trying to make yourself feel legitimate while doing it, but you're really it's like high class, upper society British gentleman in the 1890s complaining. That's whinging, and then whining is just like a kid just like throwing a fit on the floor.
The whining is like that high pitched plaintive sound of complaint, and whinging is more about the persistence and annoying act of complaining about trivial things.
Yeah,
according to the dictionary.
yeah.
I think whinging is a fun word. I don't know
It
why. Like
is.
whinging is just kind of like a fun. It's one of those words where you just like it's a fun word to say. But every time I hear people use it, it basically sounds like they're using it the same way as whining.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Well,
Now you know.
Here's an interesting question, I guess. I guess we can shout out other people. There's a guy who lives in Japan and he covers theme park stuff in Japan. So shout out to TDR Explorer. Chris is his name.
Hello,
And
hello.
he recently put up a video about Monster Hunter Wilds collaboration in Universal Studios Japan. And the funny thing about this collaboration was that the collaboration was like from December to February or January to February. Like it's recent. Like they kind of just started doing it, right? For Monster Hunter Wilds. And it's a really cool collaboration. They're doing fun stuff there. Check out his video, TDR Explorer, on YouTube if you want to see it. But it got me wondering, I'm like, so Capcom's not giving up on Wilds, is it? And they've definitely had a bunch of updates. They've had a bunch of like much harder monsters that they've introduced to the game. I recently saw Max showed me the on the weekend stream, showed me like there's like a new end boss, like a new final boss, and it's very much just like, why wasn't this in the game at launch? Like, yeah, this is really cool. Why did they hold this back for DLC like months later? Which they have done. Frankly, they did that for Rise,
Yeah.
as well. But like, so there's this kind of thing. I'm like, is this enough to get me to come back to Wilds? No.
Well, Wild sold well. It just had drop off faster than any of the others.
Plateau, like immediately sold insanely well, and then just word of mouth hit really fast. And it was like, oh, and then everyone held off. And performance optimization, being what it was, being crappy. He was saying his 4090 runs the game better than his 5090. Just GG NVIDIA.
Another weird thing is I've heard that the 30 series runs things better than the 50 series.
Maybe.
I don't know how true that is because I don't have a 50 series, but someone in post production was saying that the 30 series was running things.
It does seem like we don't need to upgrade at all at any point anytime soon, do we?
I can't afford to upgrade.
Well, the thing is, I've heard people like, no, the 40 series is a huge upgrade from the 30 series, and I'm like,
yes. I don't know.
I'm like, okay, but if I'm not running 4K, which I usually don't because I have a 2K monitor and I can't stream beyond 1080, so I don't bother with 4K. And they're like, well, in that case, I'm like, yeah, well, in that case, and no, I don't need to upgrade, do I?
The differences in generations or the advancements and stuff that are happening are so hyper specific in the ways that they're advancing that it's like, this is my opinion, but for a majority of the gamers that are playing games, like for the vast majority of games that are out there, I would say a 30 series is plenty, maybe even still overkill for a lot of the games. Like I'm still playing games on like ultra. So it's like I don't know that you need to rush out necessarily. Now, granted, if you're doing VR, I know VR is a lot more dependent on your GPU, right? Like you.
Oh man, VR is dead at this point too.
Yeah, like you and the 12 people. So there's 12 people that really need the 50 series.
Dude, can we talk about? Can we take a minute? Okay, first of all, there was the CD Projekt Red shut down the guy who had the VR mod for Cyberpunk 2077.
Right.
I kind of get what they're doing because they're like, you're making people pay for the VR mod, shut it down. They actually asked him ahead of time, can you make the mod free? And he was like, no. And he was like, well, then we're cease and desisting you. So they actually were cool with them. It seems to me like they were cool with the mod, but they're like, you can't make money off our product,
Right.
you know, unofficially, which is that's honestly kind of fair. I don't know if there's more to that story, but yeah, like,
no, if that's the detail, that is fair. I would be reluctant to go after anyone that's creating hype for that game.
yeah, but you also kind of have to too if like you're aware of it. And it's like,
yeah, you can't let it go.
Yeah. So that happened, and the scumbag Palmer Luckey apparently came out and said, I think today Rock Band VR sold 700 copies.
Wow, 700s.
They spent 8 figures on it, and it sold 700 copies.
Oh.
Now, I didn't really know there was a Rock Band VR, but apparently, yeah, like going out of his way to get Rock Band. This is
everybody that has VR bought it.
I guess 700 of them, but yeah, 700 copies of Rock Band VR happened. So,
I genuinely do not cheer for failure for basically anybody. But God, that was hard not to laugh at.
Well, like the really sad thing is how Meta bought a bunch of pretty talented studios like Armature Studios and Ready at Dawn Studios. So for those of you who don't, Ready at Dawn, you know, they did Okami on the Wii, but they also did The Order 1886, if you remember. They're all ex Naughty Dog people. They did Daxter, I think, on PSP. They got bought by Meta to make VR games. They're shut down. Armature was ex Retro Studios people from Metroid Prime. They did RE4 VR. They've done a lot of things actually. I'd have to like really dig. There's actually a lot Armature's actually done.
I mean, Meta is so clearly just chasing whatever the hype that has like investment money hyped.
Yeah.
But I don't think they intend to make anything ever.
The people who made Deadpool VR, they're already gone. They got shut down like 2 months, a month or two after they released Deadpool VR. So VR's done. Like officially toast.
Yeah, definitely, at least for the foreseeable. It's not. I don't know that VR is gonna disappear, but I don't know that.
I don't think it's been in any worse shape, honestly, because any dedicated studio is gone pretty much. Nobody actually makes VR games at this point. Like, because Meta bought a bunch of like notable studios to make notable VR games for Meta, you know, for Oculus and stuff, and
yeah, because they bought Oculus 5 years ago. How long ago?
Something like that, yeah. But they're gone. Like they shut down a bunch of studios, and yeah, that all happened this month. So, yeah, I mean, which is so weird because remember, Valve's about to put out a new VR headset, and I'm like, absolutely nobody's left to make VR games.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I know that VR headsets supposedly have like a following in like remote work. People wear that for remote work. I don't know exactly how that works out.
Oh yeah, well, and then there was that fucking office meeting app in Meta that they're officially ending service on this month. So it's kind of like,
I don't know anybody that doesn't get a headache after wearing the VR headsets, even the really, really, really nice ones like the Apple whatever that collects dust on a bunch of people's mantles. What was that? The Apple Vision Pro or Apple
something like that? Yeah, I actually don't remember what they called theirs.
That $3,000.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was like multi-thousand.
Yeah, and like apparently it worked great. People that had it, they thought it was the coolest thing ever, but they just found very few use cases to use it every day, and just more and more it just sat. But that's supposed to be the most comfortable headset, period. And you still get tension headaches after wearing it for like an hour. So, you know,
I'm shocked.
I don't know how you. I don't know where VR. I would like to be positive about VR just because it is a new frontier. I don't think it's a way that I will ever enjoy gaming just because of
Mhm.
like motion sickness, and you can build up motion sickness for it, but like
I
or
mean, I think it's
resistance to
maybe
it. But
just one of those things where tech just has to catch up. It's got to get closer and closer to just putting on a pair of glasses, maybe with like a little bit more like bracer
right,
stuff to sort of like um, cut off the peripheral vision. But we're just gonna have to wait. Honestly, we're just gonna have to wait till technology is further along
it's going to
for
take
it.
time.
Yeah,
But
yeah, and
until
then
then, all the people that know how to make games for VR are not going to be making VR games. So when headsets do catch up, I wonder if they're going to have to start from scratch on people making things for.
Well, I heard something. I don't know how true it is, but it's like apparently the only thing keeping Facebook even alive at this point is its marketplace.
Yeah, it's replaced Craigslist.
Yeah, replace Craigslist. So apparently that's where people sell all their stolen shit on.
Yeah,
Apparently, so
it's boomer scams and like Craigslist ads are all that's keeping.
boomer scams and thievery. It's like what's keeping it alive, which
Somehow,
seems ironic. Like seems ironically appropriate, I guess, for Facebook in a way. I don't know.
yeah, it seems. Well, this is it might be too I guess optimistic, but I think social media in general is losing people. Like people are just sort of over. Social media has become a burnout machine,
Oh, I hope so.
and so it's just sort of. Well, you better not hope so. YouTube's technically social media.
I
But
guess, but like, okay, but the thing is like, what would I love more than anything in the world is for real content and real social interactions to make a huge comeback.
yeah, that'd be great.
I
That'd
mean,
be really cool.
I honestly think why I think IRL streamers are kind of like the hottest thing right now. Right, it's a little sad because like IRL streaming is a little bit like you're living a little vicariously. Like I don't mind having someone going out filming on location, and then kind of making a curated video after that. Um, I think that's still really cool, but it's like I we joke about people children yearn for the minds or whatever, and I'm like, I think people yearn for having a connected, real social experience.
Yeah,
And this is and what I'm talking about here is like arcades, because arcades are dead, and barcades are kind of this sort of like middle ground, but for unks like us. I
yeah,
think now I don't think arcades as they were could come back. I don't think there's like they're just waiting in the wings to revitalize themselves. No, but something along the general idea of an arcade is something that I think, if anything, Zoomers and Alphas never got a chance to experience, and they think they want to. I think they would enjoy it. Like again, not not maybe the best, but round ones, they get packed in Dave
yeah.
and Buster's to an extent. Round ones maybe a little better because they really lean heavy into the K-pop and J-pop scene with all their rhythm games that they put in round ones. But it's like they yearn for this. Kids want to have these experiences.
If we had a true commercial real estate collapse, you would see things like that come back.
Hmm.
Because then the people who are creative and want to build spaces like that could afford to build spaces like that and charge a price that people would be able to afford to spend time there.
Yeah.
Part of the reason that Dave and Buster's has the problems that it has is that, like, I don't know, the last time I went, it is cheaper to just drink and watch people play games than it is to play the games and not drink. Like, the games themselves are hyper expensive.
Mm.
You can spend $20 and like play 3 games maybe.
Round one has this thing that I use where it's like you go and you buy an hour of playtime for like $20 or something.
Yeah. I mean, Dave and Buster's does that too, I think.
I don't know if it's $20. I don't know what it is, but there's a thing where you can go and you can buy like a set amount of time. You have unlimited gaming. As long as it's not a redemption game, like not a ticket prize game.
Yeah.
It's a game, like a House of the Dead, a driving game.
To be fair, the last time that I went to Dave and Buster's was, I mean, probably over 5 years ago, and you bought a card that had a bunch of credits on it, and you swiped the card to play the
that's
game.
how it works. So to me, I'm like, yeah, just buying the unlimited playtime stuff is more my speed because I'm not into the redemption stuff anyways.
You don't want the tickets?
No, I don't.
You don't want to gamble.
No.
You don't want to win. You don't
But
want to win
either
those
way, and
sticky
again,
hand
I'm not
things.
saying that this is the future. No one's just paying attention to it. Like, I'm saying I don't know what it is, but I think something in that vein, something in the idea of having a hangout spot where you can mildly compete at something, have fun with something, play, something interactive. Like, I think that's what people want. I think that's missing from just the general world right now. Is like, kids don't really have anything cool to go do on their own unless it's expensive.
Yeah, you can't go hang out anywhere.
Right. So you know what I see? I see I see it all the time. I see teens, they hang out at a Target now.
Yeah.
They got nothing else. They have nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. So yeah, like I don't know. That's a whole nother ball of wax. But yeah, like no, I definitely think someone hasn't figured it out. Someone smart hopefully will. Um, but yeah, like that's an experience I think is missing. And frankly, sort of on a more gaming note, like, this is where I think Sony fucked up. They should have kept PS Experience. They should have kept it going. That should have been like a yearly thing everyone looked forward to.
Yeah,
That's a huge missed opportunity, I think, on Sony's part.
I didn't read their reasoning for why they shut it off or why they killed it. I guess just
I mean, the
because
guy,
they could save money doing.
who at Sony championed it. It was his baby. He got it off the ground. The minute he left Sony, they just jumped it because nobody wanted to be in charge of it.
Yeah, where
or
did he
whatever.
go?
Iron Galaxy.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
So it's to me, it's like crazy because like he absolutely proved the success of it, because it was year over year growth. They did it for like 3 or 4 years in a row, and it was more and more successful every single time. Like every year, it just got bigger, and had more stuff going and more people attending. So I'm kind of like, oh, you have this thing that is like a massively growing event that you can, like, you literally get to control the narrative of, you have your own, showcase at the start of it and everything. And they're just like, nah. And they just, because yeah, of course it's easier and cheaper to just put shit on YouTube and do your state of plays. But
that is something that E3 and events like that have always brought, is it always concentrates hype.
yeah,
Hype always builds around those events.
I don't know why they don't want to do this. I mean, is it laziness? Is it just sort of like, oh, well, they're really, I mean, yes, they
No,
are.
it's just
really,
the numbers.
well,
There's
yeah,
just-
they're very expensive to put on. Don't get me wrong. Like I have no, there's no doubt in my mind. Like I have no, I am not unaware of this, but with the amount of money that still gets thrown around in marketing, it feels weird to me in this era, like post-COVID era, because marketing budgets haven't really gotten cheaper. Like, the amount of money, like say PlayStation or Nintendo or Microsoft would spend a year on marketing isn't significantly
drastically
less.
decreasing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not less. So to me, I'm kind of like, so why not put that? Why not spend that money where like it looks like you're spending the money, and two, like, it's just good for brand awareness. Like, a genius part of Nintendo, they said this, their president said this recently, I forget. He had a big interview with Famitsu at the end of the year, and they were asking him about the movies, right? And because, Mario Galaxy movie's about to come out, and all of a sudden the Zelda movies, wrapping production, yada yada. And he was like, so, is this just like a new is just a big new revenue, and he's like, no, I don't even look at it as a secondary venture. I don't look at it as a revenue stream. He's like, I look at it as a brand awareness. He says, and that's what the same thing we made a deal with Universal Studios for, is like, we have Nintendo World because we want brand awareness. We want people to constantly see and be aware of our characters. Like, we're
live in the brand. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and I'm like, frankly, I think that's kind of genius. It's like, it's not like the Mario movie doesn't make money. Yes, obviously they want to make money on these movies, but like, the president's, in his mind, the goal is not, oh, second revenue stream. It's, oh, this is really good. I'm going to get a bunch of people aware of my product who normally don't play video games, don't live online, terminally don't, live and breathe a Nintendo product, but Mario movie, Mario theme park, clothing, brand apparel. People see it. It's like,
It's been
yeah.
long enough since I've worked in marketing that, I'm probably somewhat out of touch with how clients behave now. But people would often come in and want a brand video. That's what, or a brand awareness. But a brand
Yeah.
video is something where it's like you're not specifically trying to sell a product. You're just sort of putting like the vibe of the brand. You're establishing the brand, right? They'd want a brand video. And then they would be like, and how does that translate into return? But that's not how brand videos work. Product videos work that way. You can say like, oh, this many eyeballs can translate into this much CTR or whatever. But like a brand video, we're not trying to sell, the iPhone. We're trying to sell Apple as a brand, as a concept. We're feeding seeds into a person's brain so that when the next Apple gets announced, they go, oh yeah, Apple's or the next iPhone gets announced. The Apple's a really great company. They're a leader, they're innovators, they're whatever, so that it's already seeding that ad for the iPhone. So when they say like this is the biggest phone in the entire world, you're like, yes, this tracks. Obviously, we're creating bias towards your company, right? We're creating positive bias basically so that those other ads are more effective. And they'd be like, yeah, that's exactly what we want. But how do we do it for 1/10 of the price that everyone else is doing it? And how do we make sales off of it? Right. You didn't listen at all. Let's start again. So it's amazing that like other companies will hear him say that, see the success that he's having in that brand awareness and go, wow, he's a genius. This concept has been around forever. Steve Jobs was, speaking of Apple, was amazing at exactly this type of branding and marketing. People will be like, that is so smart. Why doesn't everybody do it? Well, and not all the time. And I'm not actually trying to be insulting here, but the vast majority of bean counters do not have an imagination. They need, line goes up, but they need to see like $1 spent here equals, and it has to be direct, and they have to be able to see the data in order to make. They cannot just sort of believe in the nebulous idea of brand awareness growth. It's not something, like it's like they're looking through a phantasm. In philosophy, a phantasm is a frame of mind that makes it so that you cannot see the truth, right? You literally can't see it. It's somebody can tell you that it's right there. They can tell you in the exact words, and all you have to do is trust them it's there, but you physically cannot see, understand, or believe the truth in any way. That's a phantasm. That is, in a lot of ways, what many companies have when they want that brand awareness. They want it. They want the prestige of the brand awareness, but they do not want to pay the money without a direct return on dollars.
Well, that's the thing, and that's what I think what they miss the most is like Nintendo's fine spending gobs of money,
right? Because because they also like to have a war chest, which is also a big no-no for a lot of companies. A lot of publicly traded companies don't like to have cash on hand. They like cash on hand on a balance sheet come end of quarter a lot of the times. But they don't like to necessarily have it doing nothing just in cases. So, I think a really interesting thing about Nintendo in general is its longevity is clearly rooted in a sort of I would say a conservative view of their own brand. Like they protect the brand at all costs. Even if it's going to cost them money in the short term, they will do whatever it takes to not water down the brand. That I believe, and I'm not a business major, so I can't be certain, but I believe that is born from I believe that is the reason why they have 100-year history as a company. And I believe that like the short-term thinking of like a publicly traded company, 2 quarters or 1 quarter or whatever. People that are there aren't planning to be there for more than a few years, 5 years, until they jump companies to get a raise or get, a new title or whatever. So they're not concerned with the longevity of the brand.
Yeah.
They're more likely to get laid off within the 5 years or jump ship. You're not going to have a guy who started in the mailroom get up to CEO, as the boomers love to talk about. I forget that guy's name, but I think he was GE. He was General Electric, and then he also immediately implemented the things to make it so that no one else could do that. But like, I think that is why you get, this fascination with like brand videos or brand ideas making a Mario movie, not because you want to make money off the Mario movie, though that it would be great, but because you want everyone to go, oh yeah, Mario is Nintendo. Nintendo is on my brain. Nintendo is in my head.
Yeah. It's why I think they have that talking flower thing they're coming out with.
Remember right. That? Yeah, the toy thing, right?
Yeah, the toy thing from Mario Wonder. Like they're singing bass fish.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, they're gonna have like talking flower. They had the book for Mario Galaxy come out last year. Never even got one. But then they're gonna have the flower, and then they're gonna have the Virtual Boy add-on headset crap.
Right. Yeah, it's all just a way to keep it in your head.
Yeah, that one still baffles me that they're even doing that for Virtual Boy. I'm like, oh my god, I don't even know. But yeah, like they're being smart about it, where they're like, okay, we're gonna keep people's kind of like focus on us through whatever means necessary, whether that's directs, whether it's movies,
Yeah, and it means that they don't have to buy TV space or billboard space just to keep Nintendo,
Yeah. And I mean, the funny thing is that like, that's kind of brand awareness I think Xbox wishes it had, because they're trying to be like everything's in Xbox. And I'm like, but like they literally
nothing's in Xbox,
and right. Nothing's in Xbox. So because Xbox doesn't even really exist anymore. It's kind of like this sort of, it's games for Windows Live at this point.
Well, I think that's also what happened with COD, where at one point Call of Duty was like, COD was shorthand for basically any shooter for like a year there. And then they oversaturated how many Call of Duties they were making. Every year a new one came out, and it sort of like...
It's finally come to a head. And
a little bit. I don't know that
COD is a fascinating thing, because like it's finally starting to wane. And all of Activision had at least four other franchises that they drove into the dirt way quicker. Which they had Tony Hawk, they had Skylanders, they had Guitar Hero, and then they had COD, and there might even be another one I'm not thinking of. But I think those are like, every time Activision would have some mega popular franchise, they would drive it into the ground with multi-year releases, either yearly or multi-year release stuff, and they just grind it into the dust. And they seem to do that. Like COD seemed immune to it until now, and I think it's really because like I think kids finally don't care about COD anymore, because like having a yearly release meant that like every so often, like a new generation of kids growing up would be excited for the next COD, whatever year, whatever COD was releasing that year. And I think we got to a point where enough kids, the 6 to 10-year-olds came in and they're like, are you excited for the new COD? And they're like, eh. Like, well, I think they just stopped caring because they have a million other things to be interested in.
And from one game to the next, the improvements and the changes in gameplay just aren't drastic enough. So it just feels like you're shifting. Like this is a conspiracy. I don't know if it's conspiracy theory. It might be confirmed, but especially the last few times that I've been playing COD regularly, it feels like whenever a new one comes out, the one that's currently out that everyone's enjoying, they actively update to make it worse. To get everybody to jump over to the new. And I don't know if that's true, but it does feel that way. Where if like you remember COD 4, we played for 2 years before We jumped to another one.
Yeah, I mean there was World at War, but
But we didn't really jump off of COD 4. We played World at War
No.
some, but we didn't jump off of it.
yeah, I didn't play much.
Um,
I actually never bought World at War, to be honest.
I definitely got it, but I don't know if I got it years after the fact and then played it. I don't know. But my point is like you can only have so many years in a row where something comes out. Fatigue happens. I mean, Resident Evil. Love Resident Evil. I'm definitely gonna play this game. I'm probably gonna really like this game. Everything that I've seen of it, I'm probably gonna like. But it is hard for me to get really amped up about it because we are years in a row now of Resident Evil. How much different is it really gonna be?
Yeah, we're approaching its 30th anniversary for Resident Evil.
Yeah,
this year, if I'm not mistaken. Like, there's a lot of games are hitting their 40 and 30th year anniversaries this year.
I think the reason why the hype hasn't or why the hype seems to have sort of petered this year, even though there's clearly great games coming, I think we are overhyped, or we've been overhyped. Everyone's like burnt out on the hype train. I also think too many franchises, rather than like new franchises, new IP getting started. There's too many like legacy franchises are getting beaten to the earth rather than having. It feels, and I don't have any data to back this up, so I could be wrong, but say 10 years ago, it was probably equal between franchises coming out and new IP getting announced, year to year and stuff. Hell, a little over 10 years ago, was it 2014 when The Last of Us came out? 2013 when The Last of Us came out. When that game got announced, one thing that I remember is people being kind of unsure, like, oh, it's from a great studio, but like it's untested. It's a new IP. Even at that time, people were nervous about new IP. And it's like, well, it became one of the most popular games of all time.
And the other thing I think too here is that I think people have really started to really value mystery. And people like being surprised. Claire Obscure is such a great example of this, where it's like this was a new IP and it was like no one was expecting it. Yeah. And oh my God, this is amazing. And again, this happens with all the little indie games. Like Peak came out of nowhere, but you just fell in love with it. People fell in love with Lethal Company. Even though they're all kind of similar, but it's like, yeah, Elden Ring is not technically connected to Dark Souls, but it's like a Souls game lives and dies off its mystery, its intrigue,
right?
And I think people have really started to value mystery and intrigue, and they want that discussion. They want that sort of like, well, things not being super obvious, or just either being surprised, being pleasantly surprised, or just having this real big mystery that they have to like watch, like, some 4-hour analysis on YouTube on. People have started to really value that. And I think that hurts. That's starting to hurt long-term or long-time branding, which is why we do see a little bit. I think we see a little bit of maybe the fatigue, or maybe that's why like some of these really anticipated games aren't like, we're not. I don't know. Maybe that's why we're not, and people aren't as over the moon. Not just us, but others, where it's kind of like sequel to game. Yeah, sequel to game.
You know what? There's another thing that I'm realizing why it doesn't feel the same. Hype requires group dynamics. It's why a mediocre movie in the theater might get a bunch of like hype reactions, and you might be like, "Oh my God!" But then you watch it at home, and you're like,
Star Wars film.
Star Wars, the Avengers, like on your left scene that everybody cheered and was like raged, and then you watch it at home and you're like, it's not like the most epic shit I've ever seen. But when you were in theaters, it was the most epic shit you've ever seen, because that's the best thing about seeing movies in theaters is that group dynamic, where like when you are suspending your disbelief in a crowd, or when you're in a crowd, the energy of the crowd feeds your own energy. Part of the reason why Claire Obscure got hype from me that year was because I was in the crowd the year that they showed it at that, and like
Yeah,
the
okay.
energy of the crowd was great. Um, we don't have that anymore. Like
We could if we brought something like PSX back.
PSX back, something like E3, just don't let the ESA run it.
Yeah.
You know, it is hard to have that hype. You know, if you're watching a live stream of it, all you're seeing is like LLL boring, you know, like,
Yeah. Like that's
and
all
it's
that
just,
people. The live streams the live stream is bullshit. And I say this as a person who live streams. you
yeah,
know,
you
my
can't get the hype.
But
Um,
yeah, you can't get the. Well, I mean, okay, think of it like there's a Nintendo did this. I think they did this officially. They have their New York store, right? The big Nintendo multi two-story New York
mhm.
Nintendo store. They would live stream the Nintendo Directs there, especially at E3. They have many videos of just the camera in the back watching people on like whatever their biggest screen is on like the second floor. Everyone gathers around and they would watch the Nintendo E3 showcase.
Yeah.
And they have all of these Smash Brother reveals for when they happened at the Nintendo store, and just people losing their mind, with the very first or the second, or like the big Smash Brothers Ultimate reveal trailer, the Banjo Kazooie trailer. People just live in person at the store, gathered and losing their shit. And it's like, yeah, don't you want to have this? Like, this is stuff you could also put on your YouTube and social media, like have a PlayStation experience, a Nintendo, Star World for old school people, like, just have these things. And then, hey, here's this crowd reaction to like big Nintendo announcement, people losing their fucking mind.
Yeah,
What?
I think when we start, well, the pendulum always swings, right? Right now we're at the peak of, or we've passed the peak of, you know, direct style
Yeah.
marketing, and we're going to swing back, and there'll be like a 5-year period where like in-person events are all the rage again, because one company, maybe it's Sony, maybe it's, you know, Microsoft, maybe whoever, is going to do it once to like, you know, just be different, stand out for that year, and it's going to be huge. It's going to be like a big hype train thing, and then so they'll
Yeah.
do it again, and then it'll swing the other way where every little company has their own thing. Microsoft buys a theater, and Devolver doesn't want to pay ESA's prices, so they get a little, you know, parking lot half a block away, and they throw a backyard barbecue style. You know, it'll swing all the way that way again, and we'll
Dude,
get,
Devolver could do the funniest fucking thing, if they wanted to. If I was Devolver, because that was always fun at E3 to do that. But
yeah.
since there isn't an E3, and they are at SGF, but like I would go to like one of the bigger, nicer parks, and there's a lot of them in SoCal, like one of the bigger, nicer parks, and have a barbecue.
Well, they did that.
Just
I
rent
forget
out
which
like a rent
game.
out like a rent out like a big space at like a park somewhere, and set up a bunch of gazebos, like like a wedding, or something like would be. Just get a bunch of caterers out there and just set up the Devolver yearly barbecue, and just do that. And hell, you don't even have to sell tickets. You could just like advertise it or whatever, and then just have a bunch of other people jogging at the park and like, what the fuck,
Well,
barbecue? Yeah, play Cult of the Lamb.
yeah, that one year that we went to the Devolver barbecue, where all of the Devolver people were in like short shorts, headbands, you know, like they were like 70s or 80s backyard barbecue,
Yeah.
whatever. And like they were literally doing a backyard barbecue with like a live stream of
That's
people
what I'm
playing the
saying,
game.
man. You
It's like that was
just
one
do
of the
that.
best parts of E3 that year. So it's like that pendulum's gonna swing back. We're just at that point where I don't want to say we're at the doldrums, but we're at that like we're at the far swing where nobody's putting any money into events, and it's gonna come back that other way, especially, you know, as maybe millennials get more into uh positions of power within companies, because I think there's like a nostalgia. Millennials, especially older millennials, have a nostalgia for those events, and so they'll bring them back just for that. Whereas like a lot of Gen X who are in power now disdain those events. They have hatred for those events.
Well, I mean, I know the general consensus is just kind of like kids just want to sit on their phone and do nothing. Um, but I think we're missing out a little bit there. I mean, one, you also have to figure out pricing. That's another thing. But I mean, like, okay, like You know me. I'm a theme park guy. Pretty hardcore now. But it's like, could you imagine like PSX coming back doing what it did, where it's like theme park vloggers are now bigger than ever. But going back to like to Anaheim Convention Center where they used to have PlayStation Experience, and just like guys come here, and then the day afterwards, there was a day I forget where it wasn't. I think it was in December or something. I was at Disneyland, and there was a shit ton of people from some conference, some, and it was like something. I want to say it was either, I forget what it was. It was something nerdy, either tech related or also maybe just general Disney related, or like a card game or TCG related or something. But there was a bunch of people there in the park. Why? Because synergy. You had a big event across the street. The next day, everyone goes over here and it just continues their hangout and their meetup. And I'm like, guys, like this is like Vegas was like used to be built for this shit, like CES,
Yeah.
which just happen. Like this is what it's built for, It's like the synergy of like, okay, go have a host an event, and then everyone goes there and everyone spends an extra day or two going around Vegas, going around a theme park, like there's so many good ideas they could do, with in a way to build hype for their product that they just frankly don't do. Like if you're Capcom, because I know they do a big Resident Evil thing in Japan, they like Halloween Horror Nights being such a thing that it is in America. Why doesn't Capcom do the same thing in Universal Studios Hollywood? Like, why don't they have a Halloween Horror Night maze? Why isn't there like a Resident Evil? I mean, they're doing the Fan Fest stuff, and that went really well for them last year. But it's like there's so many. I just see it so often. I see so often people do cool things, and then it works and it gets successful, and then I just wonder why these gaming companies just. Oh, Nintendo was super successful at the directs. Like, let's all just follow that lead and just upload to YouTube and call it a day. And I just baffles my mind because
nobody likes to come up with new ideas.
But and again, again, to Nintendo's credit, they kind of just we'll have it forever. We'll have a forever event by putting Nintendo World in Universal Studios. So now there is a forever you can go to a Nintendo event. It's Mario related pretty much almost exclusively, but it's like then they're like, hey, we went out of our way to make a deal with a theme park to always have a place where people could go just live in our game world or just meet up and do a social thing like outdoors or just out of the house. So to me, it's kind of like, yeah, I think Sony and Microsoft should maybe cool to jump on the board there. Sega's talked about that. They're like, yeah, we really want to do that. And they do that in Japan, but to me, it would be crazy if the, all of a sudden we did see a Sonic, land come to some theme park somewhere or something, or some Sega themed thing. It's just a smarter thing to do in my mind. Like,
I mean, at least the Sonic roller coaster,
right? Like
plays the Sonic music.
Yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, it's like, I think maybe what we've kind of sort of revolved around to is like, why does it seem like why does the hype seem so deflated beyond just, economic anxiety? I think also it just kind of boils down to the fact that how much hype can you honestly get out of just, here's a trailer on YouTube? Like how far can a social media post and a YouTube trailer, how far can that honestly get you? Before it's like, okay, well, yeah, like you said, the energy of being in an audience for a Microsoft showcase or any game company showcase, and people are seeing shit in a crowd for the first time and getting really fucking amped. That's a huge difference. It's
impossible to replicate.
It's impossible, and I'm like, it's why Avatar makes the money it does, because it's a theater experience and people forget what a theater experience is. It's like, why does it have no cultural relevance? Because people go get hyped and then go home and that's it. But it's like, there's theater experiences are completely different. It's like Star Wars is a theater experience movie. Like, I saw all we saw. I mean, I don't know if you were there, like episode 1 or 2, with our one friend who was a mega Star Wars nerd. And it was all hyped to go see the movies. We see them at midnight, and then it's like,
yeah, I saw them all at midnight.
Yeah, and I saw episode 3 at midnight, and it was fucking like insanely hype. people were amped, but it's like, is the movie good? No, but that
Attack
theater
of the
experience was pretty
Clones
great.
tricked me at midnight, and then we saw it again. My brother and I saw it again like the following Wednesday. We got off of school like early for whatever reason, and we went and saw it like a matinee. And then we're like, oh, this wasn't this wasn't good. And the main difference, and it was packed both times, but it was like the main difference was the cold light of day.
The cold light.
Yeah, speaking of movie going experience, the final thing here at the end of the episode, the last movie I saw in theater, someone was like constantly on their phone, just like flicking through their phone, and they were sitting in the very middle of the theater.
God,
And someone threw a half full bucket of popcorn at him, hit them in the back of the head. It was a lady that got hit in the back of the head, and they just yelled, "You're not at home, bitch!" It was just.
that's amazing. That's a 10 out of 10 theater experience right there.
Telling you what, Alabama, man. People are really polite here.
Was that there?
Yeah, people are super polite in the South until they're driven to act out.
Alabama.
You're not at home, bitch. On that note, we've got patrons to thank. If you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week was Denjiki. Thank you, Denjiki. And our producers for this episode are Dragonwolf Makoto, Donglemeister, Zybernite, Tech Turtle, Tsunami, LCL Mayhem, and Ziggy Z. Thank you, dudes. We'll catch you next time.
Later, dudes.